Dramatic new video of the raid where FBI agents fatally shot a Utah man while attempting to serve a warrant. The FBI seeking to arrest Craig Robertson after he posted messages threatening to kill President Biden and other Democrats. Authorities telling NBC News Robertson pointed a gun at agents and did not respond to commands. Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence and MSNBC National Security Analyst, and Miles Taylor, former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff and author of the remarkable book, Blowback, A Warning to Save Democracy from the Next Trump. Guys, it's good to see you both. I'm going to start with you here, Frank. A new Trump campaign ad takes aim at some of his political enemies. Here's a look at that. We're not going to play the sound, but we're going to start playing it here. And you wrote that no one should be surprised by what happened in Utah, that you'd be surprised if we don't see more violent threats from right-wing extremists against officials. Why do you say that?
Yeah, in fact, Alex, I've said that if you remember back to after 9/11, we had this color-coded threat level system that many people thought was confusing and ultimately went away. But if we still had that in place with regard to domestic threat, we'd be moving from yellow to orange to likely threat occurring. And all of the markers are there. You referenced Trump now elevating attacks on the people prosecuting him, judges, witnesses. This is coming. It's already in the works. And when you look at extremist websites, chat rooms, you see the rhetoric, particularly even against a potential witness, Mike Pence, who in some corners of the dark web is targeted for being hung again, as if we needed to see that again. So it's likely we're going to see more of this. And really what's troubling here is the domestic threat looks now really like the international terrorism threat, which is people have lost their self-preservation instincts and are willing to die for a cause. A recent survey back in June showed that at least 12 million Americans are okay with violence to put Trump back into office. So in that environment, we've got a real challenge up ahead as we try to secure courthouses, judges, witnesses, jurors, et cetera.
I'm going to ask more about that in a second. But here's what's interesting, Frank. Trump's Truth Social platform tipped off the FBI to Robertson's threats. That was in March. Is Truth Social, first of all, allowing inflammatory and dangerous discourse and then alerting law enforcement? Does that even make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're, if there's anything we can kind of tongue-in-cheek joke about here, and we shouldn't because it's a deadly environment, but when you're too extreme for Truth Social, you're extreme. And yes, they now understand the liability that Trump is presenting to them. People have lost money, namely Fox News, $700 million to Dominion for allowing bad things to happen on the air. So the platforms are ready, and there's been reports that there's been a distancing of Trump regarding failure to pay what he owes to keep the platform up and running. So they're not happy with him, and they're certainly wanting to avoid the liability of allowing absolute violence. This guy crossed the line. I mean, prosecutors looked at his postings and said, yeah, this isn't even questionable. We've got 3 federal charges here. And that's what the FBI agents were trying to do, execute an arrest warrant for 3 separate federal charges, no-brainer charges, when this guy reached for a weapon, reportedly, according to NBC News and others, and swung it toward an FBI agent.
You know, Miles, you received death threats after it was revealed that you were the author of an anonymous New York Times op-ed on Trump and the White House. Talk about the physical danger that you and others had to face.
Well, it's very real, Alex. I mean, it's easy enough for, folks like Frank and I to come on TV and talk about how this is a homeland security threat. But this is real, and it's affecting people's real lives. I mean, there's a reason, Alex, that I often do these TV hits from nondescript locations, just because good people like Frank, who folks like that I served alongside with in federal law enforcement, have suggested that given the climate that we need to keep our locations nondescript because of the threats of political violence. I mean, as recently, Alex, as last night, there was a slew of messages towards me urging me to kill myself because of my commentary about the ex-president. I mean, me and my wife were dealing with this last night. Now, no one has to play the violin for us, but it's an indicator of how severe the environment has gotten. In fact, Alex, I would go as far as to say, I do think right now that the biggest homeland security threat to the United States is political violence, because one of these episodes, like this assassination plot against Joe Biden, could rip our nation apart foundationally. And we are, as Frank noted, seeing a surge in threats against public servants in the United States. It's unlike anything we've seen since 9/11. America's political leaders aren't just being hounded, they are being hunted.
I'll share with viewers that I spoke with both of you in the commercial break, and I was stunned at the chronicling of what you had to go through for safety that you write about in your book. It was scary, downright scary. And Frank, you have right-wing extremists, also scary. They are comparing Robertson to Ashley Babbitt, who was fatally shot while storming the Capitol on January 6th. Of course, Babbitt became a far-right martyr, and some claim that Robertson was killed for his conservative views. Here's the question. Does the FBI view these threats as conservative views or as an illegal danger? And does the FBI account for far-right reaction when investigating cases like this? Do they have to put that into consideration?
Yeah, there's always a balancing, Alex, that has to occur between free speech and criminality, right? And so the standard protocol, which was followed here, is to first reach out to the person, even though they've clearly crossed the criminal statute line and requirements, with specificity as to time, target, location, and method that they're going to kill someone. He did all of that repeatedly online. But they still approached him in the spring and said, hey, what's up with these threats? What's going on? And he blew them off and said, hey, we're done here. You come back only with a warrant. And of course they did, ultimately, just hours before President Biden was scheduled to land in Utah. And of course, this guy was not only threatening agents and not only the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, and others, but also, of course, specifically saying he was dusting off his sniper rifle for Biden. So they tried. When they hit the house in the morning, it turned into a barricade. They tried negotiating. He refused commands. But yeah, they don't look at it politically. They look at whether the criminal line has been crossed, and they go to a federal prosecutor and say, look, do we have it? Do we not have it? And that's the only thing they're looking at.
Something quickly that you wrote, Miles, in a recent op-ed. You wrote, our democracy, the threat to it isn't Trump or the next Trump, but the transformation of the GOP base into a reactionary, angry mob. Is that the way you see it?
I do, Alex. We are sitting right now on a ticking time bomb of political violence in this country, a lot of it coming from the far right. What worries me is that I live inside of this data all of the time, and the data shows that it's not just reactionary political leaders like Trump fomenting violence, that their views have now been transmitted onto the base. And you have these very favorable attitudes towards political violence, unlike anything we've seen in the modern era. I worry about what that means for us as a country, especially as we're going into 2024. And you can bet your bottom dollar that right now it's the top concern of federal law enforcement when it comes to Homeland Security.